Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's event To-Do Lists with Notion. We're so glad to have you here today. And first, we'd like to just briefly go over today's itinerary. And meanwhile, be sure to let us know, have you used Notion to create a to-do list before? How did it go and what was your experience? We'd love to hear from you. So let's start by going over the itinerary. So we're going to have a brief introduction first. And then we'll do some tips and ideas on creating to-do lists in general, and then why Notion for to-do lists. After that, we'll be building a to-do list together. And if you already have your Notion open, you're more than welcome to follow along for this. After that, we'll have a Q&A, and then finally, we'll show you how to download the template which we create today in the Build With Me session. So let's dive right in. So first, who we are. So we specialize in designing Notion templates that help you optimize workflow, organize data, and increase productivity. My name is Sarah, and our co-founder Anne will be taking care of the chat today. Be sure to check out our website and template store. We have a lot of freebies and free resources for beginners to get started with Notion, and we'll leave the link to that in the chat. And notes about the event. So you can add your comments and questions into the chat, but please keep the conversation respectful and about the event. So just a friendly reminder, this chat is for discussing about this event and Notion related topics. Messages not related to these will be moderated and removed if necessary. And because there is a bit of a lag between the event with YouTube, we'll be mainly answering the questions at the very end of the session. So just keep writing them in if you have any questions. So first, creating to-do lists, some tips and ideas. So we'd love to hear, which tool do you usually use to manage your to-do list? So here are some reasons why your to-do list doesn't work sometimes, and that's because there can be too many to-dos. So it's really easy to just get overwhelmed with so many things that you need to do and over planning and not enough actions. So it's really easy to write to-do lists, but then it's sometimes hard to actually take action on them. There could be unexpected issues that occur during the progress as well. So not all progress is works in a way that you imagine it. So there's always some things that could be different. Some things might take more time. There could be added tasks into the main task as well. So that can also be an issue. To-do items sometimes never get completed, and then unclear deadlines. So with the right tool and mindset, you can avoid feeling overwhelmed and actually get things done. So this is why it's so important to have a good tool for your to-do list. So how to get started? First, decide on exactly what you want to do. Make sure to write it down. Set deadlines for your tasks. Organize your list by groups or categories, and take action immediately once you know how you're going to go about it. So it's really important to set deadlines, and deadlines which are sort of flexible, but at the same time, make sure not to schedule too many things in one place. So for example, you can't just schedule everything in one day. So make sure to sort of balance out your schedule and make it really reasonable, and don't be afraid to change things as things go. And listing by groups or categories can help some people as well. So you can sometimes do tasks which are in one location and bulk them, for example. So those are some ideas, and everyone's different. So it's very important to sort of understand how you operate and to make sure to use that method that works for you. So make sure to plan your daily to-do list in advance. So planning a daily list will make it much easier to get started and stay focused. But don't overplan and create too many to-dos in a day. So try to set a limit on the tasks you plan to complete in a day. If they're really big tasks, you might only want to do 3 to 5. Small tasks could be batched together, for example, into one big task. Keep a simple list and start moving forward. Add new items as you feel like it is still feasible. And again, make sure not to just add everything into your daily list. But this is also why planning daily is so important, because you can just sort of allocate your different tasks to different days and see what makes sense for that day. So here are some ideas on how you can categorize your tasks. So you could categorize by type, by deadline, by feasibility, by priority, by categories or projects. And this is really up to the individual. So some people might do better when looking at task lists by priority. Some people might do better if it's by type or by location, or how long it might take you to accomplish a certain task. Like if you have a bunch of tasks that only take 1 minute, you could just bulk them together, for example. So make sure to focus on successful completion instead of perfection. So the ultimate objective is to just move forward and make progress. And this is why choosing the right tool is really important. So some popular to-do list tools are Todoist, TickTicks, there's Reminders, Microsoft To Do, and of course Notion, and many more. So let us know in the comments what you've used before. And yeah, I see here in the chat that some of you have used Google Task. So yeah, there's many tools, and a lot of them are very useful. And we've done some videos on, for example, Todoist and TickTick. And we find them also very good to-do tools depending on your needs. So why Notion for to-do list? So first, have you tried making to-do lists in Notion, and how did it go? So we'd love to hear, for example, what sort of layout you chose. So in Notion, you can do things like table view, board view, even calendar view. So your list can really appear in many different ways. So we'd love to hear what kind of way that you've done your to-do list. So what makes Notion great as a to-do list tool? So it's very easy to drag and drop in the Kanban board. So this is one of the biggest things. So the board view function is really great in Notion. And not only that, it's very flexible. So you can easily move from board view into table view, for example, with the same data. You can also set due dates and notifications if things change in the page, for example. You can add labels and tags. You can add checkboxes, calendar and timeline view. And you can also sync it with Notion Calendar app, which just came out. And we're going to be talking about this later in this session as well, how to sort of use your Notion to-do list with Notion Calendar app. And that is a bit new with Notion right now. And next, there's desktop and mobile. So Notion works well on mobile and desktop. So you can download it on all your devices so that you can easily access Notion on the go and at home. So this is also very useful, so you can really see your to-do list and tasks no matter where you are, and it syncs across devices. So when you're at home, you can use desktop. When you're out trying to shop, you could use the mobile functionalities. So let's go ahead and start building our to-do list and task manager. And before we build, we just wanted to show you what we'll be building today. So in today's session, we're going to be having a to-do list and task manager with two databases for to-do and subtasks. So the to-do is going to be mainly board view. And you'll be able to see your board view by priority, by category, and in a calendar view. And we're just showing you this so that you can really customize it yourself. So you can add additional tabs here, for example, if you wanted to group it by different ways. But we're going to show you two examples on how to do this. And we also added a database button here, which is another new feature that we're really excited about, just to show you how these buttons work. And they can be very powerful inside of to-do lists because it kind of automates your workflow. So for example, if I click here, it's gonna go to done like this. So Then we also have these subtasks, and here we just simply have this database of subtasks, and we'll show you how to make this as well, which is connected to your task. And once you set it up, you don't really even need to think about this database anymore. But we mainly do this because Notion's sort of sub-item functionalities isn't quite there for us yet. So we prefer to do it via subtasks rather than adding it through, for example, sub items. And so we recommend you to try both out, but ultimately we tend to go for creating two databases and linking them. And once they're linked, you barely have to think about it. And in the main view, you'll see board view by priority by category like this, as we showed in the databases. And then we also have our task calendar where you can see your task here as well like this and open it up. And here you can open it in calendar, and this is where we'll show you how it works when you sort of use both Notion calendar and Notion together. And then we'll also show you how to build a button where you can add a task to your database. And we'll show you how to create these navigation buttons. So if you click here, you can go here. If you go here, you can go to calendar. So if you have a really long list of tasks here, you can still access your calendar just by clicking this button. So now let's start with building. So if you have Notion open, you're welcome to join as we do this build with me together. And at the end, there'll also be a recording of this. So if things went too fast or you wanted to see something again, you're more than welcome to rewind. And we'll also have timestamps later as well. So it should be easier to follow along. So let's get started. So we're first going to just have an empty Notion page. So when you have an empty page, it's going to look something like this. And then we are going to first click the right hand button here, 3 dots, and we're going to toggle on small text full width like this. And we tend to do this so that we have more space on the page to work with. And the first thing we're going to be doing is to make a callout box by typing /callout. And we're going to choose an icon here that resembles the sort of database. And this is where we're going to store our database. And the reason we do this is because it's really easy to sort of lose your databases accidentally if you keep them as linked views, and it's just hard to manage them. So we like to keep databases somewhere very visible so you really know what your sort of page is made out of. So we've seen so many templates where it's really impossible to see how the page is even constructed and find the actual data, the root data. So we like to do this databases like this. So we're just going to type databases and we're going to bold this. And after that, we're going to type shift return in order to make a space under it. And after that, we can now go to this place and do /page. And that's going to create a page inside here. And here we're going to have our task, or actually to do database. And we're going to name this to do, for example, event, so that we can later find this database when we are linking them and things like that. So we're just going to name it something really easy to find right now because our workspace is full of to-do and task databases. And then we're just going to choose a board view. And we're going to do plus new database. And it's really important to set up the database as you want to see it in the main view inside here so that it's really easy to duplicate it. So let's first add an icon. And we're going to go to icon, and then let's go ahead and click this one or anything that resembles more of a to-do. Actually, we can choose this one. And here we're going to have our board view. So the first step in creating this to-do database is going to just be to first set up the statuses. So Right now we have to do, in progress, and complete, and this is the default when you create a board view in Notion. But the thing that we want to do actually is to be able to add more statuses than these three. So we're just going to go to the three dots up here, and we are going to go to the layout, or actually group, and we're going to go to group and group by. We're going to change this to option. So this is really important to know if you're working with board view databases in Notion, that when you do option, it's going to show all of your options. When you do group, it's only going to show these three categories to do, in progress, and complete. So we're going to do option. And the other option we have is whether or not we want to hide empty groups. And in this case, we don't want to hide any empty groups. And whether or not you want to color the columns. So we like it when the columns are colored. So we're just going to turn this on. And then we're actually going to go ahead and edit these options already. So we now have not started, in progress, and done, but it would be really nice to have an archive option. So we're going to go to our properties, then click the arrow here, and we're going to add plus here and add another one called archive. And here we can even change the color to red. And once we have that, we can go back, and now you can see that archive appears here, which we don't necessarily want. So we're going to go to the group here, and we're going to hide this one. And what that does is that now archive is a hidden group, but you can still drag cards in here like this and open them up and take them back out. So it's very useful to have an archive inside a hidden group like this. So now we can now start adding the properties. So let's just already pretend that this is task. So we're just going to put task 1. And we can go ahead and keep assign. So in case you're using this sort of across a team or with multiple people, you can add assign, and that's going to assign people. So for example, I can assign this task to Anne. I can just change who this is assigned to. And actually, let's just put Anne here so we can see her. And now let's put plus add a property. And some of the properties we highly recommend adding for tasks is a due date. And now we have AI suggestions as well. So if you have Notion AI, you can also see property suggestions. So this is very accurate. So we want a due date, and due date is a date property, so you can easily add it. So let's just put some date here. The next property we recommend is a priority property, and this one is a multi-select, or actually it's a select. So you can choose like this. And we are going to name this one priority. And you can even change the icon. So let's say that we want it to be an exclamation point. You can do this. And when making priorities, what we like to do is use the exclamation point emoji. So in order to do that, you're going to want to do a colon and then type exclamation, and we can find it here. And then all you have to do is highlight it, copy it, and you can paste it in and create. So now we've created a 1 exclamation point priority. So now let's say we want 2 of them, you can paste in 2. Let's say we want 3 option, you can paste in 3, and we'll just go to 4. And as you can see, all the colors are different, so we can also edit that as well by clicking the 3 dots here and going to red. And like this. And if you prefer words, you can also add them as words as well. So if you have low, medium, high, that's another option for priorities. So let's just say this one is 1. And the next one we're going to add is, for example, a type. So we're going to do multi-select for this one in case you have multiple types for one task. And this is going to be called type. And again, you can add some options. So let's say there's work, there's personal, like this. So we can put personal. like this. And the other thing we can add is, for example, another multi-select. And this could be something that describes the activity. So let's say that you're trying to bulk emails together or something that requires the computer into one. You can also track that. So this is just going to be a multi-select, which is going to explain what it is that you're doing. So let's just name this like activity. And here we're going to name this, let's say computer. And we can put it down. So now we have the due date, the assign, the priority, the type, and activity. And let's think if there's anything else that needs to be added here. So there could be now a button. So if we want to put this as a button now, you can do plus add a property and go to button, which is new. And when someone clicks this button, we want to add this as complete. So we're going to name this button complete like this, and you can name it complete. Button is clicked, then we're going to add an action. So we just click plus add action, and we are going to add the action to edit the status to be done. So this can easily be edited to actually add another button, which is for archive if you wish. So this is just sort of a sample for you to get a overview on how to add buttons inside Notion databases. But we're just going to add this and it's done. So we can now test all of this by going away here. And we're going to go to the three dots and choose which properties we want to show. So we're going to show the activity, we want to show the button, we want to show the due date, priority, and time, basically everything. And you can edit this as well, however you want to see this. So this could be a little bit of an overload of information in one task, but we can now move the button down here, the priority up here, and maybe the activity down here, and the due date like this. So you can just drag it around. You can also choose which ones you want to hide, for example. So now it looks something like this. And if we test the button, click complete, it goes to done. So we basically have all of our properties done here now. And the next thing we recommend you to do is to start grouping these by different, for example, priority and other things. So we're going to just go ahead and rename this to view all so that it's clear that this is a view all view. And we're going to just duplicate this. So we're going to click duplicate. And let's say that this one is going to be by priority. And this is one of the most powerful features of Notion is the subgroup inside of board view. And this is something we use a lot. So if we wanted to see our tasks by priority, but still see everything in one place, you can simply go to subgroup and let's choose priority. So now you see that there's no priority, there's one priority here. And we can sort this manually and show all the options. So since we only have 4 priority markers, we can put the highest up top and put the no priority at the bottom. So it would look something like this. And now if we click these arrows, you can easily see how many tasks are in each priority level. So let's say you only want to work on the top priorities, you can do that as well. And you can also search through the other priority options. So the next one we're going to sort of sort by is going to be the activity. So we're going to duplicate this one now. And now we're going to change this to by activity. And we're going to go to subgroups. And we're going to choose, instead of priority, the activity. So now we have computer and no activity here. And you can either choose to hide empty groups or show them. And for now, we're just going to show everything, but it's very easy to edit this. And the sort here, you can either choose manual, alphabetical, or reverse alphabetical. In this case, maybe manual works better. So now we can go back and we can see that we have 1 computer activity and 2 in no activity. So if we were to add another option here, let's say like shopping, then we see shopping here, and we could organize this a bit better by going here and, for example, moving it like this, or you can even hide no activity option. So this is another very useful way to categorize your to-do list. And let's go ahead and remove these because those were here as a default. So now we're going to add also a calendar view of our to-do. So we're going to go ahead and click plus like this. Actually, we're just going to duplicate the view all. So we're going to go here, duplicate, and now we can call this view calendar or calendar view. And then we're going to go to layout and calendar like this. And now when we do that, you can see that we don't see anything inside of our task. And that's because we haven't enabled it through the 3 dots. So we're going to go to the 3 dots, and then we are going to choose which properties to show. So now we see 0 shown, and now we can decide which ones we want to show. So we can show the type, we can show the priority, we can even put the complete button, but in this case, maybe it doesn't quite work as well. We can put the sign and the activity, and then we can sort of drag it around so it makes more sense. So maybe we want to do something like this. So now we see task 1. And let's say that we don't want to see archived tasks. So we can click the filter button, and then we can go to filter the status, and status is not archive. So this way we see only the current task, save for everyone. So now we have view all by priority, by activity, and calendar view. So we can now go back to our main page. So now we can move this inside of our databases. And one more thing we need to create is a subtask database. So we're going to simply click the plus button under here and type /page. And we're going to call this subtasks. And here we're going to choose a table view and plus new database. And if we click the plus sign here, we can add a checkbox property. So we're going to already go ahead and do that. And we're going to look for checkbox. And we'll just not put any name here so that it looks a bit more natural, like a to-do list. So now we have a checkbox here, a place to add your task name, and we're going to remove tags. So we're going to delete property. And the most important property is the relation. So we're going to do relation, and we're going to relate this to to-do. And this is when it's really important that you name it properly. So now here we were able to find to-do event really easily when we connect the 2 databases. So always make sure to name it something you can easily find. And we're going to go ahead and toggle this on, show on to-do event, and add relation. So now it's connected. And let's also go ahead and name this event so we can easily find this database as well. And now we can go ahead and also add an icon. So we're going to click add icon, go to icons, and we'll choose checkmark list. So now the setup is basically done here. And let's go ahead and delete all of these so we don't get confused before we start adding the subtasks. So now we can go back. And now we see that we have to-do database and a subtask database. So now the setup for the databases are pretty much complete. There's a few more things we'll have to do, but for now this is good. And now we're going to type enter and /column. So we're going to create 2 columns here. We're going to move the databases on the left-hand side and drag it like this so that we have the databases here. And then we're going to type /heading, choose heading 3, and this is going to be our task board. And we're going to type /divider. And let's also just change the title of this template so it's a bit clearer. So we're just going to name this to do and task manager. And now we can actually show a linked view of our task board here. So now we can type slash linked view of database. And again, it's really important that the name of the database is very clear. So we want to show to do event, this one. And the first view we want to show is view all. So we can see everything like this. And let's already move this a bit further as well. Maybe zoom out a bit so you can see everything. And we're going to go to the three dots here and layout, and we're going to hide database title. So as you can see now, it's quite clean. The next view we're going to add is again a linked view from our to-do event database. And again, we're going to choose to-do event. And this time we're going to show by priority. And we're going to do the same, hide database title. Then we're going to show again, plus new view, to-do event. And we're going to show by activity. And go to layout and hide database title. So now we basically have a copy of what we've made in the databases. So we have view all, by priority, and by activity. So we have everything here in our task board. And one little note is that actually if you go to the three dots here, and let's say that you have a lot of tasks piling up, you can actually go to the load limit. So right now it shows 50 pages. But if you really want, you can also change it to 10, 25, 50, or 100. So depending on your needs. And now below here, we're going to be adding the calendar view. So let's go ahead and click the plus button here. So it's going to create a new block under here. And then type slash heading, heading 3. And we're going to name this calendar view. And type enter slash divider. And we really like this heading style because it also allows you to use the table of contents block. And we'll show you that soon. So after this heading, we're going to do slash linked view of database. And again, we're going to show the to-do. And sometimes this takes a bit of time to load. And now it's loaded. So we're going to click to-do event. And this time we're going to show the calendar view. And we're going to again hide the database title. And one more optional thing you can do in the calendar view actually is to click the three dots here, go to layout. And if you want, you can also see this in week view. So it depends on how you want to use it. But we're just going to keep it in month view like this for now. So now let's go back to our here, and we're going to now add a few more features. So in this task 1, we now have this subtask here. So we're going to go ahead and click this, and we're going to show this as minimal, so we barely see it, but you can still see it here. And we're going to go ahead and add a database template. So what the database template is going to do is it's going to show all of your subtasks inside of the task. So if we go to this blue button here, we can do plus new template. And here we're going to call this task, new task. And then what we want to do is do slash heading. And we're going to call this subtasks. And we're going to type slash divider. And under here, we're going to type slash linked view. And here, now you should choose the subtasks. So we're going to click there and choose the table view. And we can go ahead and hide this database title like we've been doing. So we're going to go to layout and toggle off show database title. And we're also going to hide this one. So we're going to click here, hide in view. So now all we have is the checkbox and the name of the task. And the final thing you should do is click here for filter, and we're going to filter it by the to-do event so that it matches the new task, and save for everyone. And if you like, you can also add an icon, which is going to be added every time this database template is used. So we're just going to go ahead and maybe use a push bin for this. So now if we go back, we can go ahead and load the new task like this. And it's going to be showing all of our subtasks. So this also sometimes takes a bit of time to load. So now we see that we can add subtasks here. So let's say that we want to add, since this is personal shopping, let's say that we need to buy groceries. So let's say eggs, we need to buy cheese, we need to buy vegetables. And then when we have our subtasks, let's say that now we want to sort of see a progress of how we're doing with our subtasks, then we're going to add an additional property. So we're going to click plus add a property, and this one is going to be a roll up. So if you just simply want to see a progress bar using your relation property, the most simple way to do it, if you have checkboxes, is to go to this roll up, choose your relation, which is subtasks, and you're going to choose the property, which is the checkbox, and we're going to calculate percent, which is checked. Now it shows 0%, and you can choose a progress bar to display this information. You can even choose all of these Notion colors and even decide if you want to see the number or not see the number. So that's another optional thing. And let's also change the name for this. So we're going to name this progress, or specifically subtask progress. And now we see the progress bar. Let's say we are done with this, then it's going to show 33.3% and so on. So now we have a nice progress bar going here with our subtasks. So the next thing we would want to do is to actually see this information. So we can go to the three dots here, properties, and choose to toggle on subtask progress if we want to see this. And we can even put it all the way up top. We can do the same inside of each of these views if we'd like. So we just go to properties and toggle on subtask progress. And we can do it also for activity. So we go properties and we can click subtask progress. And we can see now the subtask progress here like this. And of course, you can really choose where you want to display this information or how much of the information you want to display. And let's also go ahead and add it to this as well. So we're going to go to the three dots here, and we are going to go to properties and choose to show subtask progress. So now we see here a list like this and all of the information we wanted to add. And some other properties you might want to consider adding to your task could even be like a link or URL, so that you can add links to things. You can also put files and media, and many different options that you can add here depending on your needs. You can even add an ID if you want to track your tasks by ID. So this is basically like this. And then the other thing you might want to do is go to this blue button here and set this as default. So we're going to go to the three dots here and set as default. So for all views in To Do, we want to set it as default. So what this means is, well, let's say that this is in progress now, since we're buying our items. We can simply click plus new here, and let's just add all the fields. So this could be like this, type could be work, activity could be computer. And when we open this up, it is already going to load this as a database template. So as we can see now, the subtasks are loaded, the icon is loaded. So every time you add a new task, it's going to have the same format with these templates. The other thing we wanted to note actually is that you can also set these as recurring. So let's say that we have a task that happens every week, for example. You can actually set that up as well. So if we click here and let's say duplicate and you take out the trash every week, you could even set something like this so that it reminds you to do it. And if we go back, we can click the three dots, go to repeat, and you could do every week on Wednesdays and choose your time and everything. So then it's just going to automate this task so that it always shows up on your task list. So that's another really handy trick for to do in task management with Notion. So we're just going to delete this one though, but now you can see how to add that. And the other thing we're going to do is make a quick navigation bar here now that we have everything set up. So we're going to make another callout box by typing /callout. And we're going to choose an icon such as this one, which is a list. And we're going to call this navigation. And we can go ahead and bold this and shift enter to create a new line underneath. And then what we can do is we can now go to this area and create a button. So if we want to sort of streamline our task creation process, we can type /button and it's going to create a button for us. And this one is going to be add new task. And we're going to select an icon. So let's say this one. And when the button is clicked, we want to add a page to, and then here we have to select the correct database. And again, we want to select to do event. So it's very important the name matches. And it's going to ask you what kind of template you want here. So this is going to be the new task template. And you can even edit it so that if you only want to add a certain type of task, you can also create dedicated buttons for that. As you can see, you can already pre-fill some properties, but we're not going to do that. And the last step is going to be to open the page. So we're going to open the new page created in center peak. And this is also customizable. So we want center peak. So we're going to keep it like this and done. So now we can move this over into our navigation bar. And let's say we're going to add a new task. We can just click it open and everything gets loaded. So then you can already start typing the task into here, which is very convenient. So as you can see, it got added here. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. So when you have a lot of tasks, this gets pushed down really far. So if you wanted to add a new task, you'd have to like scroll all the way down, just add a new task, or click the blue button here. So this is why having a button is so useful near the top of your page. And then the next thing we're going to do is add a table of contents. So the table of contents block is basically going to take all of your headings and place them as links. So this is a trick that we sometimes use so that it's really easy to navigate around your pages. And it's something that we actually didn't discover for a long time, but it's just super useful. So we're going to type /table, and then you find table of contents. And simply by clicking here, you can go to task board and to calendar view. So now our basic setup is done. And of course, as you can see, there's so much room for customization here. So you can really sort of mold this into the way that you want to use it. But now we just wanted to sort of take a look into how you could use this also with Notion Calendar, which is one feature that we're really happy about that you can now do with your to-do list. So before we do that, we just wanted to show you that the first step to adding this to your Notion calendar, the most useful way to use this is if you actually add it as a time. So let's say that this task 1, instead of just the date, we're going to add a time, include time. And let's say that we're going to do this task at 2 p.m. So now we have due date February 16th at 2 p.m. And when you add a time like this, it's really easy to see it inside of your Notion calendar. And then it's going to even remind you and show it to you on sort of the top bar, for example, that it's upcoming. So we highly recommend this. So all you have to do is click open in calendar in order to see this pop up in your calendar. So we're going to go ahead and click this and show you how it looks in calendar. So now you see in calendar, basically this one is an all day task and this one we set for 2 p.m. And when you have it inside of your calendar, it's really easy to adjust times. So when you're in Notion, it can be a little bit clunky to change the time here, but with this, you can really just change it. So it's just super easy to see like this, and it's also going to show it to you in your like Notion calendars, upcoming tasks. And if you look at it, for example, in week view, we can also see this task. And we can also see it in day view if we went to this one. So we can put, let's say, like a 45-minute task. So, and you can even drag it around like this. And let's say that this task, we edited it to be 2 to 3:45. Then it's going to also show that change inside your Notion as well. And you can now see that this to-do appears in your list of calendars inside the database. So we highly encourage you to also try that out with any kind of Notion database that has times. So if we go here now, you can also see that the time has been edited automatically through the calendar app. And yeah, we'd also love to hear, have you already tried Notion Calendar and what are your thoughts on it? We think that this is very useful, that you can now sort of sync your databases into a calendar along with your Google Calendar as well. And one thing to note is that if you wanted to, for example, see only your like shopping tasks, you can also just create a new tab and only show those, and then open it up in a calendar and it's only going to show those tasks. So let's go back now, and that's basically it for creating this to-do and task manager. We'll leave the link for it at the end of the event, so you can also download it and see how you did if you want to follow along with building it. And if you want more features for your to-do list, we just wanted to briefly share with you all our to-do list bundle Notion template. So right now we have a 40% discount code with code FEB40 during checkout. So we recommend you to check it out. And basically, this template is sort of a more advanced version on this very basic thing that we made together. So we have two versions. So we have standard version, and this is in the colorful colorway. So we have 4 different sort of styles. We have light, minimal in light mode, minimal in dark mode, colorful in light mode, and colorful in dark mode. And the standard one, as you can see everything by due date, by time, by category, by type, like this, and it's already made for you. There's also a monthly check-in, which you can add so that you can see, for example, your goals for the month, your results for the month, reminders and thoughts, and this gets automatically shown to you on the left-hand side column so that you can always sort of keep track of your goals and reminders. And there's also instructions if you need more specific instructions. And then we also have the advanced version, which we included categories so that you can see your task in a broader category. So if you have, for example, house chores, you can see all of your tasks relating to house chores in one list, and you can also filter them all like this. And then here we also have the to-do list and a task calendar where you can see this month and this week. And just like the other version, you can see your monthly check-in like this. So you can add your month's goals, month's results, reminders, and any thoughts you have in a brain dump. And we also have really useful navigation system. So if we go to categories, we can simply click here to return home and an add new task button. So definitely encourage you all to check that out as well. And now let's go to the Q&A. So make sure to type your questions into the chat. Anne has already put some of the questions here, so I'm going to start answering them. Experience with Notion didn't went well exactly as it didn't have the ability to set reminders unlike the others I used. How to deal with this? So especially with the new Notion calendar, you can actually get reminded of your tasks that are upcoming. So let's actually just show you in the Notion calendar app. So if we go to Notion calendar app like this, and you can go to your settings. So we also have a video about this, but basically if you go to your settings and adjust what you want to see in the top bar. So actually in this case, we can't really show you how it looks, but you can definitely set it up so that you see your upcoming tasks and get notified about them in your desktop, and we're pretty sure in mobile as well. And the other thing you can do is also, for example, if you set up your to-do list in Notion and you don't want to use the calendar app, you can also set it so that you get notifications when the page changes. And this can be done through the automation. So as we showed you with the weekly tasks that you can add automatically, then you can go to, for example, the three dots on the corner and get notified for all comments or all replies that mentioned. So you could add an at mention to yourself, for example, in the template and then get notified that way. But it is true that it is a bit difficult to set reminders, unlike other to-do list apps, but definitely with the calendar app, it works much better now. So my to-do list is in Notion, but super messy. Is it possible to import an existing database into a new one? Would I be able to import my old database into this new one once it's created? So this is a bit difficult question that we haven't exactly done ourselves to import a database, but I believe there is the option. If we go to to-do list task manager, not 100% sure about this, but if we go to the three dots here, and if there's a way to export this, this we'll have to look into and get back to you. So if we do find out about this, yeah, we'll definitely make a video about it, because that's a very good question, how to import it if you have an existing database already and you want to use this one. But since the properties are different, for example, it could be very difficult to move one to another. So yeah, we'll investigate this further, as we can see that this would be a very good thing to use if you're planning to switch to our template. Okay, so it should be copy and pastable, or you can duplicate and move. Yeah. Okay, so do you recommend adding more task statuses? Most of my time, my to-do in progress keeps piling up and it is a bit overwhelming. Progress keeps piling. Okay. Yes, I think having more task statuses can make it easier to manage your tasks. So if we go to our to-do list building here, yeah, as you can see, we have just in progress. So if you have more processes inside your progress, like let's say if this was actually like a project management template, you might even have like a review column, or additionally, you can add these options in between, like based off of the activity. So if you have shopping task, if you have a computer task, you might want to actually edit this in a way that you have a shopping column, a computer column, and then a done column. And maybe that's a better way for you to see things rather than sort of the horizontal view that we have by activity, for example. So those are all definitely good options. So it really depends on how you want to use it. Next, what if I want to see one type of task in the calendar? So as we explained, you can do a filter. So if we go to our to-do list in Notion and let's build, and let's say that we only want to see personal tasks, then you can just click here, duplicate, and you could name something like personal tasks. And then you could click filter and plus add filter, and you can choose the type to be personal tasks, save for everyone. So now you can only see your personal. And then additionally, you can open this up in your calendar, change the color, and you'll see only your personal tasks there. So that's totally possible. And next, is it possible to search a particular task through the to-do list? So it's very easy to search through the to-do list with Notion. So this is a really great feature. So if we go here and let's say that we want to look for, so this is called new task. So if we go to this search bar here, we can just type new, and then we see new task. We can type like 1 or task 1. We see task 1. So yeah, it's very searchable here. And we highly recommend using this function to search through your tasks, especially if you have a lot of them. So next we have, can I see the task dashboard by date? So in this case, we only showed you 2 versions where you search by, or you organize it by priority and by activity, but it's really easy to also do it by date. So if we go here, task manager, and let's say we're just going to now duplicate this one, and this is going to be by date, and you can go ahead and choose subgroup so that it's a date. And if we choose date by due date, now you can see tomorrow, next 7 days, and we recommend relative setting for grouping it this way so that you can see what you need to do tomorrow, next 7 days. You can even show all groups. So now we see tomorrow, next 7 days, and no due date in case that you want to track things that way as well. So we recommend you to try out the subgroup with date. Then we have another question. Why should I switch to Notion from Google Task users? What are some things I could get more than what I'm already getting? So when you use Notion, one of the strongest points of it is just the flexibility. So Notion kind of molds with you. The more you use it, you start realizing what properties you don't need, what properties you do need. You start understanding like different views, and this is why we like Notion so much. So if we go to here, we can definitely show you what we mean by this. So basically everything that's in this board view, you can easily transform this into table, timeline, calendar, list, and gallery view. So you can basically see your tasks in different view formats, regardless of like what data is in here. So these are all by default, everything you input into Notion can be transformed into these different formats. And this can be really powerful. So for example, if you start thinking, well, I want to sort of see the tasks in order. So task 1 leads to task 2, which leads to task 3. Then maybe you want to see it in timeline view. Or you might have tasks which have a very important visual quality to them, like you need to actually add files and documents or pictures. Then you might prefer to see your tasks in gallery view. So just that flexibility. And on top of that, you can create your own tabs like this and really make it your own. So that's a really powerful part of Notion. So it can be what you make of it. And now with this calendar app, you can also see your task alongside your Google Calendar. So that's also super useful. Can you set subtasks to be up to be for separate dates? Yeah, actually, that's one property that we didn't add here, but that you could definitely add. So if we go to here and we have our subtasks here. So basically, if we add a date, we could go to the plus sign here and date like this. And we could add dates. So it's that easy. And if you really needed due dates for this, that's also possible. And additionally, you can even see your subtask in a calendar view if you really needed to. So that's another option if you have tasks leading up to complete your main task. That could be a really good option. Then we have, hello, if there's a button in a task template, does it recreate associate to that new task? Yes, if you create a button in a task template. Yeah, so I guess we didn't really show that, but I'm assuming that you mean that the button inside of this template and not this template, I mean this button. Then if we edit this and let's say we added a button here, it would associate it with this page. So you could definitely add buttons inside here and make it work for you that way. But one thing we haven't actually tested is whether or not you could add a button to add a new subtask here with the tag with this new task. So we can actually test that out. So we do /button and let's say that this is add subtask here. So button is clicked. We can add an action. So we can add page 2 and click subtask event. And we can edit another property, which is the to do. And we want this page. Yeah, so you can totally do this to do this page. And then we can do done. So we have now add subtask button. We can go back. And if we now create a new task inside here, and we click into here, click add, and we see here that we've added a new subtask. So yeah, definitely buttons you add will be connected to your main task. So the next one, is there a way to set up tasks and get reminded in Notion Calendar app? So we just mentioned this. Definitely if you want reminders, use Notion Calendar app because it's just easier that way. And there's this really handy like bar on top that you can see your upcoming events up to like 3 days and see them in timed order. And if you're interested in our Notion Calendar sort of deep dive video that we made, we'll leave the link to that also in the chat. Do you recommend linked views to a master database for tasks or a new isolated task database under each project? So sort of our philosophy when making templates in general is that everything should be connected. So instead of creating a bunch of new databases, we ultimately prefer that it's all like connected to a central, like the less databases, the better, because it gets really complicated. So this is why, for example, with our subtask, we chose to only have one subtask database, which then links to the main task. So in that case, if you have a master database for tasks and then you wanted to connect it to projects, that would just be as simple as sort of looking at our task subtasks, and then you would just name the task, the project, and then the subtask is your tasks, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's very easy to relate the two, and you could simply use the same format that we did with task subtask, but then you can just switch it to project and tasks. Great. Is there any other questions? Okay, so let's go to the next page. So yeah, if you're interested in downloading this template that we built together, the one that we showed you at the beginning, you can find that through our Gumroad link here, and we'll leave that in the chat. Thank you so much for attending today. It means a lot to us to be able to really share Notion with you all, and it's a huge joy for us. So thank you for attending. And if you're interested in our to-do list bundle Notion template, you can find it in our store. There's a 40% discount code with code FEB40 during checkout. We also offer one-to-one coaching sessions where we can sort of be more personalized in our approach to how we can help. So definitely check it out, and we'll leave the links as well. And if you have any questions or comments after this event is over, feel free to contact us at organizednotebook.info@gmail.com. There's a lot to discover with Notion, so we really enjoy like answering other people's questions. So be sure to contact us if you have any questions. So yeah, thank you again so much for attending, and we hope to see you all at the next event, which is happening next week. And yeah, have a nice week.